And now we're very happy to welcome from Unity of New York, Becca Bean.
Good morning. Yay. It is so great to be back here with you guys on the first day of spring. I am so honored. And I think springtime must be on all of our hearts right now. I'm absolutely ready for the change of season. It always reminds me of when I worked up at the Bronx Zoo, and a sure sign of spring was always when the forsythia bloomed on a little hill over by the polar bears. It was like that yellow beacon that just called us right into springtime. And the magical appearance of little baby ducks that would suddenly appear in the duck pond, little feathered corks trailing right behind mama. I love this time of year. I have succumbed to spring fever, this daylight saving time that's brought more light and energy back into our lives, and especially after this challenging winter. I'm going to begin today with a couple of words from today's daily word, which some of you may know is Unity's daily devotional. The word for today is positivity, and the affirmation is, I plant seeds of possibility, positivity, and harvest joy. Wow. This also inspired my talk title for the day with the next little paragraph that reads, today I tend the garden of my consciousness. I pull the weeds of worrisome and unforgiving thoughts by denying they have any power over me. I create a fertile environment for a new positive thought to grow through regular prayer and meditation. Like bright, beautiful flowers, these positive thoughts bloom and grow in my consciousness. And then a little verse from my childhood came right to mind. Some of you, I'm sure, remember it. It might even be on a plaque in your own garden. That little set of verses by Dorothy Frances Gurney that says, the kiss of the sun for pardon, the song of the birds for mirth. One is nearer God's heart in a garden than anywhere else on earth. Wow. Nearer God's heart in a garden. Well, how's that for a glorious direction to explore our consciousness today? I was curious to find out what a garden represents spiritually, and was tickled to hear that a garden is an archetypal image of the soul, of innocence, of happiness, and is a place for growth for our inner self. It's a simple symbol of consciousness because of its order and enclosed characteristics. And it also represents fertility and the feminine. Now, in Unity, consciousness is defined as our knowing, our complete awareness of our spirit and mind and body. We're consciously aware right now that we're awake and we're breathing and taking part in a Zoom church service because we've done it many times before. We remember it. At the same moment that I recognize my own image on the screen, I see your faces and recognize them. And I also see the kindness and the light of God shining in every face. Not only do we know right now who we are, we also know whose we are. Divine and blessed children of God. We recognize three parts to our consciousness: our conscious mind, which is our personal identity; our subconscious mind, which is our memories, our hopes, and our dreams; and our involuntary functions in the body, like breathing and digestion; and our superconscious mind, our Christ mind, our inner divinity, where we have access to divine intelligence. And as we evolve spiritually, we receive guidance and direction by prayer and meditation. When our conscious mind becomes aware of error thoughts or limited thinking, prayer and meditation will help us weed them out to keep us strong and thriving and knowing the truth. So how does our consciousness relate specifically to gardening? Well, in our conscious mind, that would be the portion of our mind where we might think one day, I really want to make a garden this year. I've got a little spot, some good sunshine and access to water, and it would be so great to have some fresh vegetables of my own to share. And then we would access our subconscious mind and recollect past experiences with gardening. My gardening memories are wonderful because my mom and dad, who thrived through the Great Depression, devoted a quarter acre of our yard every year to a vegetable garden. They planned and plowed and planted it together. And I think my mama canned practically every living thing that grew there except for the marigolds and the pansies. They knew that their hard work together would make it possible to feed 5 kids over the winter. And my mom took such great pride in those beautiful, shining canning jars stacked on the shelves. It represented their prosperity and their commitment to family and our well-being, and an opportunity to share our bounty with neighbors who didn't have as much luck in gardening. As the youngest child, I mostly got to play at gardening, squirting water from the hose at sundown, or that amazing moment where I got to pick up a radish or a carrot right out of the ground. So my subconscious mind is well prepared for creating a new garden. Great memories and a positive attitude have readied some good soil to motivate my garden dreams. Then here comes the main resource for my gardening potential, utilizing my super conscious mind, where I have access to any knowledge that I need, my intelligence and my wisdom, my capacity to learn anything I don't yet know about gardening, my strength to persevere through the processes, my zeal and enthusiasm to carry me through, and a sense of order to rule over all, and the blessings of gathering information from other experts like Nick right here in the community, or generations of local farmers full of common sense and access to modern technology. Superconscious mind shines like the sun and blesses like the rain, steering my thoughts to success in every turn. Okay, so let's say I actually get this garden idea rolling, and I have to realize I will have to stay active in this effort, just like we do with our spiritual practice. My inner garden and my outer garden will both need daily commitment and attention. So with God's blessing, let's say some of my plants and seedlings actually begin to grow. Hooray! And then I spot something not quite as lovely as the picture on the seed packet. It's a weed. Oh no. Did I plant a weed and unintentionally? Well, weeds sort of just happen, don't they? Just like weedy thinking creeps into our consciousness every single day on the TV and social media, and sometimes even from our friends and family. I might get up to water the garden one morning and think, man, this is hard. I am really tired and my back hurts today. And then I postpone taking care of business and I get distracted. Well, what weedy thinking might have crept into your head and heart this week and soaked down into your subconscious mind? It's extremely hard to step away right now from the sadness and the crisis in the Ukraine. It certainly captured the full attention of the world and probably filled some of our dreams as well. How are we able to take a break from this situation and reclaim some peace of mind for our own? Well, in just a little while, we're going to be singing the peace song together. And I want us to focus on those words for just a moment. Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. First and foremost, before I tackle any of my weedy thinking, I have to let peace begin with me. In the book of Matthew, chapter 5, verse 9, Jesus shares the beatitude, "Blessed are the peacemakers, for they shall be called the sons and daughters of God." Now, Jesus was teaching us about our inner lives, of course, our spiritual development, So when we're referred to as the sons and daughters of God, that refers not just to Jesus as God's only begotten Son, but to the Christ Spirit that lives in each one of us. And to be a peacemaker, we first must reclaim our inner peace as sons and daughters of God. I also learned a wonderful new definition of that word blessed a few weeks ago. Words from a woman named Mary May Osh, who worked at Unity Village for about 30 years, writing wonderful inspirational pieces and poetry. Eric Butterworth liked to quote her very frequently. She raises a very important point for us today to remember. She tells us that a blessing conveys the power of multiplication. It quickens the spiritual power that produces growth and increase. It increases our good whenever we choose to bless anything. So how can we tend and bless our inner garden of consciousness more carefully today? Well, first, we know we must access our own inner peace with prayer and meditation and silence, of course. And you know, that idea of creating a metaphorical peace garden just kept coming up in my head this week. Now, there are real peace gardens around the world, and some of you may be familiar with the one that's between the US and Canada border. It's quite lovely. And I found that there are a lot of other ones in our region as well, pretty close by. The requirements for a peace garden are pretty simple. Choose some plants and flowers that you love. Some directions encourage flowers like lavender or peonies. Find a water feature of some sort to create the sound of running water, a bench to sit and rest, and some shade. But most importantly, choosing a quiet spot where any disturbing noise is as far away as possible. Some gardens even plant a peace rock or a peace totem as well. Doesn't that sound lovely? And what a magnificent spiritual ideal as well, surrounding ourselves intentionally with beauty and seeking silence within, even as we might be physically blessed by the kiss of the sun or the sound of the birds. Let's consider today, on this first day of spring, declaring our inner garden of consciousness as a peace garden, first and foremost, where we can be still and know the peace of spirit while any storm rages around us, where we can know the truth that never changes, that there is only one presence and one power in the universe and in our lives, God the good, and we are safe and empowered as sons and daughters of God. Now, some days maintaining our prayer and meditation practice might feel like chopping weeds in the broiling sun, but in our hearts, we always have access to the cool shadow of God's shelter and the source of restoring water that will never run dry, where our consciousness, our inner knowing, is assured at every moment. And we too can feel that lift of spirit, just like little plants seem to stand a bit straighter as they soak up fresh water. Let God's goodness soak down into your fertile subconscious mind this morning and see the ideas planted there so brilliantly manifested in your outer life. Bless and multiply your time and dedication to tending your inner peace garden. And just like a real garden, you might end up with a few more zucchini than you need sometimes, but it will give you so much more than in kindness, in compassion, in prosperity, and in truly being a peacemaker in our world today. Maybe you aspire to have a magnificent garden like Nick and Joseph, or share a tiny plot in the community garden here in the city, or maybe just grow a few herbs on the windowsill in the kitchen. We can all plant and care for our positive and powerful thinking in the same way, with daily care and love. We make a conscious choice to grow and thrive or not. We absorb these thoughts and see them take root and grow up and out into our lives. So talk to yourself this week. Just like you speak kindly to the philodendron as you dust it and water it in your home, talk to God and then be still and listen carefully for what is yours to do. Talk to your own peace garden and watch it grow. And so it is. Amen.